Good morning. So, welcome to Sober Powered Saturday. So, every Saturday around this time, I'm going to go live with somebody else from recovery. And this week, we are talking about being of service. So, I have my good friend Alika on here with me today, who should be joining any moment. I also have my cat. I don't know if you guys watch my YouTube videos, but sometimes Luna makes a surprise appearance, and she is right here with me now. She's also appearing in my course too at random moments, which is nice. So how are you guys doing today? How's everybody? What are you up to for the weekend? I'm trying to wave, but it's not letting me. So if you're just logging into this live, this is a new series that I'm doing. So every Saturday I go live with someone from the recovery community, and you guys pick the topics. So this week we're talking about service work, and if we have time we'll talk a little bit more about AA and spirituality. So any questions that you have, you'll have to let me know. Okay, here is Alika. Hey,
Yeah.
how are
How's
you?
it going? I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can you hear my AC? It's kind
No.
of loud. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. Yeah.
Good.
How's it going?
Good. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, hey, thank you.
No,
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I
Saturday's
know
are easy for you.
it's different being on the other end of the camera now. I'm always hosting the lives and things like that. But thank you so much. Thank you for thinking of me. I appreciate you and
Yeah.
your big brain that you got. My goodness. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and
Mhm.
what you do? Because then that's the perfect segue
Yeah.
into the topic of service work.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. So my name is Alika. I know some people have heard my story. I know some people haven't. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself. I live in California, but I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I'm from the Big Island, a little town called Waimea. That's actually, if you guys ever wonder what my tattoo says, it says Waimea. That's the town I'm from. And by the way, out of all my tattoos, that one hurt the most. If I knew it was gonna feel like that, I never would have did it, honestly.
More than
But
this,
yeah, no, this part right here. This,
interesting.
because it's so soft, the meat on your. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so um I identify as a drug addict and an alcoholic today. Being born and raised in Hawaii, it's I don't have this excuse or this reason of, oh, my dad wasn't there, my mom left us, and they were on drugs or they were alcoholics, and no, I don't have that at all. I grew up with a lot of love, a lot of structure, a lot of support. I was very athletic. I played every sport, and then once I learned how to surf, oh, that was it. That's all I did. That's the only thing I did. Well, I did that, and I paddled canoe. We competed, paddled for like 6 years, and and that's how I grew up. So I don't got that excuse of, oh, this happened and all this. I mean, I have a little bit of traumas and things happened growing up, but when I was 13, I started drinking. It was my first drunk, and I got trashed off Coors Light, believe it or not. Yeah, it's like drinking water. and I liked it. I liked the effect that it produced for me, because growing up, all of my older cousins and their friends, people that I was hanging around, people I was with, they're all extroverts. like man, and they were just so cool, and I wanted to be like them, but I was an introvert. That was a huge problem. I was very introverted. I was very to myself, shy, reserved. Like if you don't talk to me, I'm not gonna talk to you. It's hard for people to believe that today, because naturally I still am introverted. Through my past career, I learned how to be more open, and I had to public speak and teach classes and things like that, like weekly. So that really helped me kind of break out of my shell. But what helped me before that was alcohol. Alcohol literally did for me what I couldn't do for myself. Um, and then I found drugs. I was introduced to drugs at 15 years old, and those two things combined, I'm like, man, I was doing a bunch of cocaine. Now, oh, I can drink even more now. I can stay up for days and drink. Staying up for days just on alcohol and drinking, it's quite a challenge. I've done it many times, but then I found the cocaine. I was like, ooh, man, this keeps me up. I can drink more, and because I idolized and I just looked up to all of my older cousins and their friends and how they carried themselves, and like they could all fight. They're just beating people up, and I was like, man, I want that. There was just a lot of like ego and a lot of pride. All the chicks, they was getting all the chicks. There was good surfers. They was very popular, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to feel a part of. I wanted to be accepted by my peers. I wanted to be accepted by my older family, I guess, my cousins, and especially their friends. Because I always hung out with people that was older than me. You know, a lot of like some I've been in, with some big time drug dealers. Friends with them, and like, oh, bah, you see so and Alika's with so and so. And there's just that whole kind of way of thinking and lifestyle. So it was very attractive to me because I was I mean, it's very cliche-ish to say, but I was literally uncomfortable in my own skin because I thought I needed to be like them. Like that's what I'm supposed to be like. But I'm like not. I'm like very shy and reserved. I'm not like that. So immediately I'm like, well, something must be wrong with me then. Because every time I tried to be like them in a sober state of mind, I made a fool out of myself every time. And then even more so that drove me to go drink some more and and go do more drugs, and it just started to progress for me. I think typically everybody who has a story to tell that struggled with drugs and alcohol, that's a common thread that it just progressed. Because me personally, I've come to believe that addiction to be a disease, an illness that affects us like no other human sickness can, and over any considerable period of time, we never get better. We only get worse. That was my truth. That was my story. That is exactly what happened to me. I never started drinking, like 5 beers and, a couple shots and, 1 gram of cocaine. And then, the following weekend, I didn't, I drank 2 beers, and like, no, I never did that. It was always more and more and more and more and more and more and more, always. The only reason why I maybe didn't do a lot of drugs because I couldn't sell anything. I didn't have any money, or I couldn't get it free from somebody. Like usually, the liquor, the alcohol, that was a little more easy to attain to get. So that way of living, I was about maybe like 19, 20 years old when I crossed that line into full blown drug addict and alcoholic. Prior to crossing that line, though, I had a substance use problem. But I mean, I just sprinted through that and went right into the disease of addiction. Where what I mean by that is, I like looking when I got sober and looking back, I realized right around that age, 19, 20, like once I started drinking, I couldn't stop. Once I started using, I couldn't stop. Cause like I kind of try to stop, but I realized, oh, no, I couldn't. But it was normal to me. That was normal because everybody I was doing it with, everybody I was drinking with was doing the same thing. So to me, that was normal. What was not normal was when we're partying and it's midnight and somebody goes, oh, bro, I gotta go home. I work tomorrow. that was weird. That wasn't normal. That wasn't normal at all. So if I was drinking and using like this, I never, ever, ever hung out with people down here that they only drank this much, or they don't even use, or they only use this much. I never did, because if I did, in my mind, I would start to think to myself, oh, bro, you got a big problem. You really do. So I never allowed my mind to go there. I just, people here and above, here and above. Typically, I would find people up here, and then I would move up. I would move up, and I just kept progressing and progressing, and uh, I just started to just destroy my life. Really, I destroyed every single, I'm not exaggerating, every single relationship I was ever in with another woman. I absolutely destroyed it. Absolutely destroyed it. Um, Even friendships, because I started to develop a certain way of thinking, and also a behavior I was starting to learn, and I got really good at it really fast. So the certain way of thinking was, um, how can I satisfy me today? What can I get from somebody to make me feel better? What kind of, maybe money, maybe sex, maybe a compliment? What can I get from other people to satisfy me today? That's exactly how I lived my life for 20 years. It was just, I mean, to be honest, it's a terrible way of living. Like, you separate me from drugs and alcohol, I still had the same way of thinking. I can still lie to you. I can still cheat on you. I can still manipulate you. I can still steal all your stuff. I can still do that. But I'm sober now. You know, something I learned in recovery. I got sober in a 12-step program. Is that the drugs and the alcohol, really, it made so much sense to me when I first heard this. I was like, oh man, the light bulb came on. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes so much sense. The drugs, alcohol was never my problem. There was always a solution. And it started way back when I was a kid, when I didn't feel like I needed to be like a certain way. I need to feel a certain way. I need to look a certain way. I need to physically, muscles, tattoos. I need to look a certain way. And because I wasn't comfortable with me. Oh, today I'm very comfortable with myself. Thank God for that. Um, and it was just a vicious cycle of torment for me. It was just, once I started, I couldn't stop. I destroyed everything I touched. I couldn't keep one job. I kept lying. I kept stealing. I kept using women for anything, for drugs, for sex, for places to stay, for cars, for anything that I could think of. I got very good at trying to rearrange life to suit me and to satisfy me, my needs. And I learned that the root cause of addiction stems from selfishness and self-centeredness. I was totally unaware of that. I was like, I was totally convinced when I walked into my 12-step meeting, my very first one, that drugs and alcohol was the problem. 100%. If I could stop doing that, bro, my life would be so great. I would stop lying. I would stop cheating. I would stop manipulating. But I come to find out that wasn't the case. I can still do all those things in a sober state of mind, no problem. Because it's a thinking problem that I had. It wasn't a drinking problem. It was a thinking problem that manifested into a drink problem, or it manifested into a drug problem, or a control problem, or an anger problem. That's something that I learned about myself, and I was totally unaware of. I was like, oh, but kind of. I'm not gonna give you the whole long version because we'll be here for an hour. But that way of thinking, that way of living, only thinking about myself, was just a terrible, terrible, terrible way to live. I mean, not to mention all the days and nights of just pushing my body physically to the limit. My mental health was being destroyed. Like, at a certain point, like, if I was partying, drinking, and using for, like, let's say, like, one day, like, the next day, I'm not kidding. When I would walk, I felt like one leg was longer than the other. Like, literally, that's how I felt. I just felt so weird, and I started seeing like dots in my eyes and stuff like that. Because I mean, and I was really overweight too at that time. For years, I never took care of my physical body at all. I grew up in Hawaii. You learn how to eat all the wrong foods before you have teeth. So outside of drugs and alcohol, my eating has been the thing that I have struggled with the most. But I didn't realize it was a struggle because it was normal. It's my culture. That's how we grew up. When I met my wife, it was different. She's like, "Oh, you eat rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? You eat that much food?" I'm like, "Yeah, like, you guys don't, you know." And like, nothing was wrong with it to me. I was like, "That's, yeah, it's." And if you guys watch this, you guys been to Hawaii, you guys know people from Hawaii. There's no small Hawaiian people that exist. They just do not exist. And just for that very reason. So about 2 years sober, when I was 2 years sober, I got into taking care more so of my physical body, and eating differently. Oh, that was difficult as well. Um, but I continued to do that. 2 years later, after that, I've been sober for 4 years now. And but anyways, that way of thinking, that way of living, it just called up to me. I ended up moving to California. I stayed with my sister, And you know, wherever I go, there I am. I was the problem. I didn't know it. It was the okay. The Big Island is the problem. I moved to Canada. Okay, go no. Canada is the problem. I gotta leave. Move to Oahu. Oh, Oahu is the problem. I gotta go back to the Big Island. Then I came to California. You know, and then California is the problem now. What I'm gonna do? But then I got into recovery while I was here in California, and I've been sober ever since. But you know, we hear all the time that recovery is possible, and it is. It is. It's very possible. You know, so kind of segue into service. Now, being of service, some things that I've learned about being of service in recovery, being of service in general. You know, because this disease stems from me being selfish and self-centered. The solution to that is being of service to other people. Because when I'm thinking about you, I'm not thinking about me. When I'm thinking about how I can help you, I'm not thinking about what I can take from you. You know, and that is very helpful. Like, to be honest, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, drug addict, non-drug addict. If you can think about other people more than you think about yourself, your life will be so much more fulfilling. I mean, your life will be so much better just by just doing that one little thing. You know. However, I found out, like, in the process of recovery, being of service, there's a danger to it as well. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying though. It's not a bad thing. It is a very, very good thing. But what I'm talking about is I can throw myself into service work, and I can neglect working on myself. Like, let's say working on my steps, working on me. You know, whatever it could be. Like, I got sober in a 12-step program. I am also a Christian, so I read my Bible. I read all my literature. I've met with my sponsor weekly, consistently for years. I had literally spent hundreds of hours in my book, recapping, highlighting, taking notes for the first probably at least 2 years. That's not an exaggeration. Literally hundreds of hours, because I really wanted a different life, you know. So I understood. Now in recovery, there's this thing. I'm going to show you real quick, that circle, the triangle, and then the circle. That's an AA thing. I got that from one of my friends. I didn't get sober in AA, so I'm not breaking any traditions by talking about AA. So that triangle and that circle. What that represents? It's a service. It's unity, service, and then recovery. So the unity part of it is attending meetings. If you're a 12-stepper, the service part is taking a commitment in the meeting. I mean, and there's tons of commitments. You could be the secretary, the treasurer. You could be the greeter. You could be. There's a bunch of different commitments there, and there's commitments at the area level as well. Outside of 12-step, you can be of service to your church. You can be of service to your family for sure, your spouse, your children. You can be of service to other organizations, because that's service work. That's thinking about other people more than you're thinking about you. Because something that I have learned, like when I was going through like early recovery, when I was newly sober, when I was going through like difficult times, you know, I would call somebody else. Like typically, usually it was my sponsor, and 9 out of 10 times he would answer his phone. But let's say he didn't. Like there was a few times I can remember he didn't. So, but I have made friends in my program. I've developed a support system, a community of anybody I can call, and they'll pick up their phone. So I called, boom, my friend, he answered his phone, and he kind of like talked me off the ledge, so to speak. And you know, by the time we got off the phone, you know, I felt better, he felt better. And then I learned to do that for other people. I'm having a good day. Hey, let me call so-and-so and check in with them, see how they're doing. You know, like, and then before you know it, like after we get off the phone, oh, I feel better now. They feel better, you know, and I know of people that have done that where they're just thinking about other people, and they call so-and-so. And so-and-so was ready to relapse. So-and-so was ready to commit suicide. These are true stories. And then this person called them, and that prevented them from going back out and relapsing or killing themselves. It's amazing. So that's very important, I think, in my opinion. But you know, the danger again to that is you can just throw yourself so much into the service work, you neglect to work on yourself. You know, like, you know, so like, because I learned there's a difference between sobriety and recovery. You know, I went into a 12-step program looking for sobriety. I found recovery. My friend Adam, if you ever watch this, Adam, thank you so much. It's a good example he gave. He said sobriety is like going to the gym, and recovery is actually lifting the weights, basically. You know, it's a very good analogy he gave. I was like, man, that's so good, because sobriety, I mean, it's just all it is the last time I drank alcohol, the last time I used, basically. That's all it is. See, if drugs and alcohol was my problem, that's all I would need. It was just that. However, it wasn't my problem. My cognition was my problem, the way that I thought. So I had to, I learned about myself in recovery. The 12 steps, if anybody is familiar with it, let's say you're not familiar with it. If you look at the 12 steps, look it up after this, look it up while you're watching this, if you've never read it before. Only the first step has anything to do with drugs and or alcohol. It's just the other 11 steps has absolutely nothing to do with drugs and alcohol, because that's not the real problem, you know. Like my wife has never struggled with drugs and alcohol in her life. She was on a meeting, one of my meetings, and that we host, and a friend of mine who is actually also a native of Hawaii, she was sharing her story, and my wife could relate to everything she was talking about. Like, even though my wife is not an alcoholic or drug addict, and so my wife is going to be beginning working her 12 steps, because she understands that she's been with me from the beginning. We were dating. She would come to my meetings. She's seen all the service work I did, and all these events, and we went on this, we did that. So my wife really supports me, and I'm so grateful for that, because without it, it would have been an uphill battle, you know, without her support. And I'll talk more about her support later on. So, I mean, to kind of wrap that all up about, you know, service, it's a good thing, but however, it can be a bad thing, you know, like you can relate that to anything else you want to in life. But just so I'm clear, it's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. It's very helpful. But people can put themselves just boom into service work and helping other people and neglect themselves. You know, we can only transmit what we got. If we're not continuing to grow, we're only transmitting the same thing over and over. They're all these people. Oh, I know where he's going with that. I know I heard that before. You know, or whatever. You can't see. The more value I add to myself, the more value I can add to other people. It's a process that never stops for me. You know, we talk about having a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. For me, how I like to explain recovery, what it looks like, because I'm a visual guy. Imagine walking up a down escalator. You know, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, because it's going down and you're walking up, you're getting there slow. So if you stop, you eventually go back right to where you started. That's in a nutshell. That's my visual of what recovery looks like. And that might seem like a lot of hard work, and it is, especially in the beginning. But somewhere along the line, it stops being hard work and it just becomes a way of life. You know, I learned that also in school, like my analogy, like it's proven like medically too, like about how our brains change and stuff like that. I mean, I can't explain it, to be honest, but I learned that. So service work, yeah. Now go getting to my work. So in 2019, I was like, I don't know, September, October-ish, around there. I went back to school to become a counselor. I went through a course, and then like toward the end of that, COVID hit, you know, and so everything got switched online. So I finished up that course online, and then my instructor said, oh no, the school said, well, you know, because of COVID, you guys can either take a leave of absence and wait it out, or you guys can go on to get your degree. I was like, okay, I'll go on and get my degree then, you know, because like everything lined up perfectly. All these doors started opening for me to go back to school and everything like that. And so I did. So I work in treatment right now. I still have to, I am technically, and I just found this out recently, because I don't get really hung up on titles and positions and things like that. Like I don't need a title to fulfill my purpose. I don't. And some people may ask, well, why did you go back to school? So I didn't want to go back to school, to be honest, because I'm not like a book person. I kind of want to like read and like, oh, and like, I mean, there's so much exams and this and essays and like I'm not like, I'm more hands-on person. So the reason why I went back to school was I believe that is the direction God wanted me to go in. And then the evidence of it was just so much doors started opening. I was like, oh man, really? And the reason why I say that I did it is because my obedience to God is the reason why I have my life that I have today, why I have my wife, why I have my son, why I have my sanity. And you know, of course, all the material things that's very like low on the scale. But so that's why. So I was like, okay. So I ended up doing it, got my degree, and now I have to accumulate. In the state of California, they require 3,000 hours to be CCAP certified. But it started when I went to school. When I first, all those school hours, it all accumulates. So right now, I'm technically a drug and alcohol, a registered drug and alcohol technician. I found that out pretty recently. I didn't know that because my instructors, everybody was saying that, like, you know, I was calling myself a substance abuse counselor for a little while there. I didn't know. That's what I was told. So I was like, okay. But again, I don't need a title. I don't need that. I don't care about that kind of stuff. So you know, it's great. I really enjoy it. I love working in this field. I love it, love it, love it. You know, like I'm like, and this might sound weird to people that never struggle with drugs and alcohol, but I feel the most comfortable around other alcoholics and drug addicts. You know, I really do, because I can relate. Like they're my people. You know what I mean? And like I look like them too. I dress like them. They can relate to me. You know, I don't come in with a suit and like, you know, everything. And no, I'm like it's more relatable. You know, to people that are in treatment. And so, but I really enjoy it. I facilitate groups. That's really all I do, you know, right now. And I really enjoy it. This place where I'm at is down in Riverside. They seen like how good I was with the clients, and they allowed me to run a group once, and they, you know, they observe it, and they was like, oh wow, we're gonna send you over here and you can facilitate groups all day. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. I love that. I love the one-on-ones, but I love the groups. I love facilitating groups. It's so awesome. It's so fulfilling, you know, for me. But for a sec, I know me and you mentioned to me about this. I don't know if you want to talk about this now, about you know, your curiosity about this field.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I guess my question before I talk about myself is that draining for you?
Okay,
To
that's a
run
good question.
groups
That's
all
a great
day?
question. Okay, look. So, oh, I like this question. So, the short answer is no, it's not. And but believe it or not. So look. So there's a difference for me between like you know, like I'm not there necessarily to get a paycheck and like I gotta pay my bills and, you know, all these things. Out of my addiction, a purpose was birthed through my addiction. I say that, you know, addiction, this disease, it forged a great weapon against itself when it tried to take my life and failed. Because like I can't keep my mouth shut about it. No, I mean, I found a solution. I found a way out. I'm going to tell everybody who wants to listen. Everybody who wants to hear about it. Like I don't care. So it's because I found my purpose, why I'm on this earth. Like I literally can do it all day long. I don't get tired of it. My wife knows this, but like I'm very good at being unbalanced. You know, I'm very good at that. So she helps to keep me balanced, because I understand today, like it became more clear to me as like this past year went on. God does not want me to fulfill my purpose at the expense of my family and losing them. He don't want that. He wants me to live a balanced life. But see, like again, even though like this is listen to this part. My motive is very good. It's very good. My motive is to go out and help people. I'm very passionate about it. That's good. The motive is good. But if you really think and look, like I justify it with my wife, babe, man, these people are dying. There's people, you know, like I sponsor other people. They'll call me all times of the night, and I pick up the call, and stuff, and I would justify it. You know, I justify, you know, what I'm doing. But however, if you look at all of that, it still comes back to me, to selfishness. That's still being selfish. I'm not out there drinking. I'm not out there using. I'm not out there cheating on my wife. I'm not beating people up. However, the disease of addiction stems from selfishness. So if I'm not careful, I can be sober and suddenly slip right back in to that old way of thinking. But I'm so thankful for my wife that she doesn't allow that to happen. She you know, she pulls me, hey, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, she keeps me in check, you know. But that's a great question, because of my passion for it. See, if I was a cook, if I was a chef, no, I couldn't do that all day. When my shift is over, boom, I'm gone. Like after my shift is over, like I have built relationships with these people. I started doing a panel at the sober living area of this company, and you know, and like I'm not like in corporate America, like being in management, you know, like this is when I was in corporate America, this is what they teach. Like just build like these surfacey relationships. You know, don't drive them deep. You know, you have to, because you manage these people, you have to build a relationship, but don't like we're not allowed to hang out with them after work. It's like, we're not even at work. What do you mean? So I don't like that. So me, when I build relationships with people, I drive them deep, and that's the only way I know how to do it. And that has been the most rewarding and most effective way, for me, is building those relationships and driving them deep. Um, but that's a good question, Joe. Yeah, I literally can do it all day, only because it falls into the category of purpose for me.
Yeah, I feel that way too. Like right now, I don't have a job in recovery. I have a regular job, and sometimes I'll come home, even if I come home early, and I'm just like, oh man, I was there all day, like, and it's exhausting. But then I can do sober stuff
Hmm.
like all day and all night, and it's I don't know, it's energizing. It's very
Yeah.
different the way that I approach it. So
Hmm.
yeah, that is why I'm considering making a change, just because this is like my hobby. And I
Yeah.
think if you can find a way to make like your hobby and your passion into your career,
Hmm.
then you really won. And
Yeah.
even though like I think what I'm struggling with too is I would probably take a relatively high pay cut for whatever
Yeah.
I decided to do.
Hmm.
So that's something that I need to be strategic about. Like,
Yeah.
do I need any additional education?
Hmm.
'Cause I'm still paying for my master's degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to think about, but it's something that
Hmm.
I just really want to do. And like I see how happy you are, and like
Yeah.
other people that work in recovery, and it's like a little jealous feeling.
Yeah, and this is just my take on it. And I think I speak for everybody in the sober community. Like, if you was to go into this field, Jill, people's lives will be changed because of you. It will be changed because of your knowledge and your own experience. And it gets me very emotional because I know you, I know your story, I know the knowledge that you got, I know how much people you can help. Like I was sharing with you earlier when we were talking on the phone about how in treatment, like the women especially, I share them. Look, this is my friend Joe. Check out her. Look at her YouTube. Let's watch this video. Look here. This is. I shoot them your Instagram. I send them your profile because they were talking about one, like a few of them yesterday, or not yesterday. It was like a couple of days ago about being bored. I was like, "Psh, here we go. Hey, check this out. I sent them the YouTube video. And it's very bite-sized pieces. Your podcast is very bite-sized. It's not like 2 hours you're listening. Because addicts, alcoholics, their attention span is not very long. And it's just so powerful. You have so much power in your knowledge and your experience. I mean, you would literally be a lethal weapon in this fight against addiction. I guarantee people's lives would be changed because of you. But that's just my take. Don't let me influence your decision or nothing. Um, because I understand you definitely will take a pay cut. Yeah, I know for sure. And see, for me, this is just me though. I was very money motivated. I had a business. I was an entrepreneur. Money, 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 money. And money is not a bad thing. Money is a great tool, but it makes an awful god. It really does. I found that out. So, like, I'm more purpose focused. So every time when I focus on my purpose, like, and again, my obedience to God is right up in there, with everything. Like the finances have always come. I've always been provided for. And again, it goes back to my obedience to God, me personally. So, but I see what you're saying, and that can be scary. It can be scary. But I can relate to what you're saying, like about how you go to your job, you come home, and then you can do sober anything for like forever. You know what I mean? Like it's like no problem. And I can do it forever. And like if I could like do it all day, I would. But again, my wife won't let me. And not just that. Like I'm learning how to live balanced. That not just she's helped me guide me through it until where I can do it on my own. You know what I mean? Like I don't gotta depend on her to kind of keep me on track. She's kind of helped me, like she's helped me walk basically through it until I can do it on my own and everything. So like I'm gonna segue into PRP now.
What did you say?
Oh, I'm gonna talk about PRP now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
Okay,
my
so
AC is like really,
what's
it's
that?
really. My AC it's a rumbler. It's really loud.
Oh, got it. Okay, no
I
worries.
heard you.
So in the middle of the pandemic, last year, I started, because we talked about service in the beginning. I had learned the benefits about being of service, and how we can help other people. So that way of thinking stuck with me. Um, so in the middle of the pandemic, like in California especially, everything was closed. Everything was shut down. Like you couldn't even leave your house for months unless you was at the grocery store. You know, and I started to think, man, like, what about all these people out there that's still just suffering? Like they got no solution. They're at home with their bottle and Netflix, like wondering what they're gonna do, and yeah, how they're gonna get sober, and what, So I decided, I was like, okay, I'm gonna create another page on Instagram that's geared just toward recovery. Um, and so I did that, and I thought the first name I thought of actually, and it stuck, was Pro Recovery Power. So the I'll tell you about how I came about, like coming up with this name. So I thought about pro recovery. See, because I am pro recovery. I'm pro recovery and less anti addiction. Because being anti addiction is problem focused, I'm much more solution oriented today. So that's why I started with pro recovery. And then, power. There's a lot of power in recovery. And that's the first name I thought up, and it just stuck. Pro recovery power. And if you guys can see, so this symbol right here, this is actually the big island of Hawaii. That's where I'm from. It's on my tattooed on my hand too. And of course, the fist with represents power. So it's just basically my logo symbolizes where I'm from and what I stand for. Because somebody told me once, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So I didn't want to fall into that category, you know. And so that's how I came up with the name. I just sat there one day in front of my computer, and I thought, and boom, it came to me. No, it wasn't my computer, it was my phone actually. Um, and then I started posting like some inspirational stuff, on there. And then later on down the road, I had an idea of going live with other addicts, other alcoholics, people telling their stories, inspiring hope. And me personally, it doesn't matter how somebody got sober. Just because I got sober in a 12-step program doesn't mean that's the only way people can get sober. Prior to that, prior to becoming a counselor, that's what I thought. That my mind only, because that's all I was exposed to. That was it. So like, yeah, this is the only way. Just do what I did, and you'll get what I got, basically. That was my way of thinking. It was very narrow-minded, to be honest, even though I thought I had an open mind at that point. And so I started doing that, reaching out to other people. Like I don't care. Somebody got sober, 12-step program, they went to therapy, they got the shot, they can get the Viviral shot, once a month. Like, I don't care. God snapped his fingers. I know somebody like that, actually, that happened to them. So it doesn't matter, because the point about going live is creating this platform to other people to spread hope to others that are suffering right now. Because like during the pandemic, things were closed. One thing that will never close is social media. That's always open. And people that struggle got social media. The majority, anyway, they got social media, and it's worldwide. So I started doing that, and I don't know. I think I'm coming up on a year, or maybe it has been a year. I don't know. I got to go back and look. I started doing that, going live with other addicts, alcoholics. I started doing it on Saturday and Sunday. At 3 p.m. And then, of course, like I was saying earlier, I can throw myself all into this. So wifey was like, hey, you got 2 days. Now we can't do nothing on the weekend. So she said, can you do it on Saturday? I said, oh, yes, I can. So now I go live on Saturdays only, but 2 times, at 12 noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then from that, what started to happen was I did a podcast. I did an interview with my friend Johnny from Grounded Phoenix in Pasadena, and I told my story, and then I met Nick, who is the owner of Team 12, and he has his own recovery clothing brand. So then the gear started turning in my head. So then I started making hats, recovery clothing. We set up our website, but actually before all of that, we had the idea. Me and my wife, we talked about turning this into a nonprofit organization. And I was like, we were like, yes, that's a good idea, because we can, the vision that we got, is to, to help the masses who suffer from drug and alcohol addiction, to help them find their way out of darkness into the light, recover from their addiction, and take the message of recovery to the streets, treatment centers, schools, churches, and all around the world through social media. In order to do that, though, our goal is to achieve nonprofit status. So our paperwork is in. It is a process. It's a long, tedious process, but it's worth it, because that will help us reach people on a massive scale, being a nonprofit organization. And then the recovery clothing, and things like that. Like then we got a YouTube page as well. All the lives that we do, it goes straight to our YouTube page. So if people want to send them to somebody, here, watch this, check this out, listen to this girl story. So the clothing, the lives, the YouTube channel, everything, those are all tools to help me get in front of the person that's sick and suffering. That's what it is. Like, we are going to be a nonprofit here real soon, but these are just tools. Like this is advertisement. People wear it, people ask, people can get in touch with us, go to our website, things like that, because there is a solution. That's why this is a solution. Many people out there struggling, and because I'm in the I run in the circles of the sober community, recovery community, we all know recovery is possible. But, like, believe it or not, there are people out there that have no idea they can get sober. They have no idea that it's possible. So I'm trying to get my message to those people out there. And recently we shot a mini documentary for Pro Recovery Power. I got the rough draft sent to me yesterday, and it came out really well. So the final product, I will get it soon, because I kind of gonna talk about Hawaii right now a little bit. So my wife and I were going back to Hawaii in September. We were there. My mom passed away on March 16th, and then we had her service on May 1st of this year. And when I went back home, I seen it with my own eyes, like how worse it got. Bro, I ran into so much people I used to drink and drug with, and people like I grew up with, and friends and cousins. And like the first day I was there, I ran into so many people, and they're like, bro, so and so, bro, he got divorced, bro, he all strung out now. I mean, bro, so and so went to prison, so and so went back to prison, bro, so and so not doing good, and this and that, the depression. And I'm like, my goodness. And I got to see people too, like I used to know, and they still doing the same thing. Nothing changed. Like, the thing I learned about drug addicts and alcoholics is that we are not bad people trying to get good. We are sick people trying to get well. When somebody told me that gave me so much hope, because inside, I felt like that about myself. I felt like I'm not a bad person. I'm not like an evil person. I understand, like, I've been selfish and I've done these things and I've used people, but like in my heart, it was just the drugs, the alcohol, the disease was just blocking that for me to kind of come out, but it was in there. So this this documentary, because we're going back to Hawaii in September, I wanted to make it so I can send it to different churches, treatment centers, schools, and hopefully come and speak maybe to the kids at the school, at the treatment center for sure, share my testimony at different churches, things like that. So that's why I did it. I mean, once I get it too, I'll post it on my social media so people, you guys can check it out and everything. And shout out to my friend Quay, man. He's amazing. He's sober as well. And then he shot this. He does it for a living. It was amazing. And we did down at the beach. I thought it would be appropriate because I'm from Hawaii, so we'll film this at the beach. But we're doing that. All of these things is to reach people that have no idea they can recover, to reach people and let them know that there is a solution. I mean, and what I found that is most effective to reaching people that are suffering is not telling them, bro, I've been sober for 4 years. Oh, I got married. Oh, I got a child. Oh, look, I got all this money now. Oh, look, I got this house. Look, I got this car. No, that is not how you reach people. How I found out the most effective way is to share with them all my shortcomings, my dark areas, things I don't want people to know. I mean, you'd be amazed how fast people open up to you when they go, wow, and they can relate. It's you just became relatable all of a sudden, and now they're open to receive what you have to say. They're much more receptive to it that way. I found. So we're really excited about that. But I'm not going to talk too much more about this. But nonprofit, we're not stopping with the nonprofit. We're still in the early stages of some different things, but we're not going to stop there. I mean, my vision is huge for this thing. So one step at a time, though. We do it. And so just kind of, I guess, like now I talked a lot about God. I kind of want to talk about my faith and how it plays into my recovery, how it fits into my recovery journey. So I'm just speaking for myself now. I'm not speaking for anybody else. So me personally, when I cross this line into full-blown disease of addiction, into drug addict, alcoholic, when I cross this line, what also happened to me was I became, I was far beyond human aid. My human will failed me. My experiences showed me that I couldn't do it on my own. Once I start, I cannot stop. I mean, and I'm not talking about just stop using drugs and stop drinking alcohol. I couldn't stop having a bad attitude. I couldn't stop using people. I couldn't stop lying. All those things, like everything I couldn't stop doing. And then, of course, I tried. Like, I remember so many times where just the thought would come. I mean, every time I try to fight against just the thought, I mean, it'll just run me over like a Mack truck. Like drugs and alcohol was a landslide victory for drugs and alcohol when it came to just the thought. And that's where it all started, though. Victory and defeat happens in the mind first. So I started drinking when I was 13. I started using drugs when I was 15. When I was 15, what also happened to me was I started going to church. Wasn't even church, actually. It was like these youth groups. We had youth groups. I didn't know nothing about Jesus. I didn't know nothing about God and what church is. And, I just, thought it's a feel good place, whatever. I had known nothing about it. And then started with this youth group. And then I started attending church. And honestly, I was like a teenager. I wasn't really paying attention a lot of the time. I was like eating sugar, putting sugar packets in cups and just sucking them out with a straw while the preacher's talking. And I wasn't paying attention at all. But like, as I got a little bit older and like in high school, then we had like these youth groups. And then we used to attend church too. Like some things was getting in there. And then I at a certain age, I don't know when exactly it was, but I was already active in addiction. At a certain age, I actually, I received Jesus into my life, and I went and I got baptized. It's a public declaration of an inward decision that I made, basically, and I've heard plenty of people talk about, and I used to think this too, like God was he's just a punishing God. He just cannot wait till I screw up so he can go pap. You see, don't do that. However, when I actually picked up my Bible and I found out for myself what he was really like, all of that stuff I learned wasn't true. And I thought it were. I thought it was because church people told me this. I learned it from church people, So I had this misconception of who God is. It wasn't until I actually sought him out for myself to where I go, wow, everything I wanted him to be, he actually is. I found out, and it's amazing, like how he just. I mean, plenty of people have said this, they struggle with drugs and alcohol, and I'm one of them. I mean, I shouldn't be here. I should be dead. I should be in jail. Or I should be in the psych ward. To be honest, and not an exaggeration, with all the things I've done, all the damage I've done to other people, to my physical health and mental health, like something should be definitely wrong with me, but it's not. I look at that as God's grace and God's mercy, and just to kind of differentiate the two, there's a difference. His mercy and grace is not the same thing. God's grace is him giving me something I do not deserve. So I do not deserve to have a beautiful wife like I have. I do not deserve to have my freedom. I should be in jail. I do not deserve to have a son, to have a family. I do not deserve to be happy. I do not deserve to be content. I don't deserve any of these things. That's his grace. He's giving me things I don't deserve. Now, his mercy is him not giving me something that I do deserve. Because all my actions, all the consequences that should have, all these bullets with my name on it that should have hit me, God stepped right in the way of it and it hit him instead. That's what his mercy looks like. And I'm so grateful for it. And because I have found my purpose today, because of that, because of the call that God put on my life. Like I said, like I can do this forever. I can do this nonstop. I will carry this message of recovery to the day I die. And even with this nonprofit, like even when I'm not on this earth anymore, my son can still continue to carry this message to help other people. Like you don't have to be an alcoholic in order to get sober. You don't have to be a drug addict in order to get clean. You don't have to be in a 12-step program to carry the message necessarily. Like in 12-step culture, definitely, for sure. But as far as being of service to the community, like my son can do that. Like if he wants to, he's gonna grow up around all this stuff. I'm sure he'll develop a passion for it as well. Because passion is contagious. It really is. But long story short, I guess you could say, well, that was kind of a long story. But like my trust in God, I mean, I give God all the glory, man, for everything. I'm not shy about being a Christian. I'm not a closet, person. But like, see, because I'm not religious. I want to make that clear as well. Ooh, religion is man-made, by the way. Jesus was not religious either. When he never came, man. He never came down here to start a new religion. He came to offer a relationship. That was more attractive to me than like religiosity kind of thing. And I was like, whoa, wow. So today, I mean, I have a relationship with God through his son that he sent. And he didn't send his son into the world to condemn the world, but that through him it might be saved. But we all got decisions, we all got choices. God gave us free will, but he does want us to choose him, but he's not gonna make us choose him. He's not gonna. It's up to us. Just same thing like when getting sober. Nobody can make us get sober, like no, like that will totally backfire, for sure. Like nobody made me drink and use, and nobody made me recover. I became willing to do both. It's the same thing, with God. He's not gonna make me do nothing. He's not gonna make any of us do nothing, that we don't want to do or anything in general at all. So I mean, I'm just so grateful to God for the life I have today. Because without him, because I was far beyond human aid. See, God, he saved me, and he also taught me how to stay saved. Because my way of thinking, which is my problem, can take me right back to where, oh God, you gotta come save me all over again now. So what I mean by he taught me how to stay saved was he put people in my life. He put me into a 12-step program. He put literature in my hand. He put other people's stories in my face. He put people like you, Jill. He puts people like that through social media. Like, of course, reading his word, for sure. But like that's how I learned how to stay saved, basically. Because, and then like that way of thinking, that happening to me, that's what I want to transfer to other people, because that is the most thing. That's the thing that has helped me the most, is that one right there. Because being an addict, an alcoholic, I always wanted to be in control. I couldn't trust anybody. It came down to it to where, okay, God, I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna trust me. I'm gonna trust you. I never truly trusted God up until I was on my third step. And the third step says that we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. For the first time in my life, I think I was 33 years old. I genuinely, I did that. I was like, I don't want to, but I relinquished control. I was like, okay, I've been sober for a while. My life is still unmanageable, even without drugs and alcohol. Okay, God, I finally done. Okay, I trust you now, like kind of thing. And I'm not kidding. Days later, my wife walked into my life. I'm not kidding. Amazing, like how that works. And my life just rapidly progressed in a positive way from the day one I got sober. Like my life just get boom boom. My life just got better and better and better and better and better since I got sober. My life did not get worse. And I know that's not everybody's story, but that's my story. And I credit it to my obedience to God. Honestly, that's why I have the life I have today. It's because of my obedience. Everything hinges on that. But it just so happened like my passion and my career is one and the same. So it's like, it like works out really good for me. Kind of thing. I know a lot of people, they're not like that. It's not like that for them, I guess you could say. But for me, it definitely is. But man, I really, again, I thank God for being here today. I thank God for you, Joe. I mean, you got such a wealth of knowledge. I say this all the time, and you're my favorite sober scientist. And like everywhere I go, like I'll tell people about you. Here, check out her Instagram. Check out you got the YouTube page now. When you got that, I was like, oh, here we go. She got a YouTube page now. Because even me being 4 years sober, the things you talk about, it helps me. It still helps me because I'm like this sponge. Recovery. It doesn't happen like overnight. It's a process. Growth. It should continue for a lifetime. You know, and like I said, the more value I can add to me, the more value I can add to other people around me. For God's glory. Not that I'm so great and look at this. I'm a counselor. I got a degree and I've been sober this long. I'll care less about that kind of stuff. Because that all links back to pride, which is part of my problem in addiction. But that kind of ties it into everything into my recovery journey and with my faith, being of service. The purpose that was birthed through my addiction and pro recovery power and what we're doing. And if anybody watches this and you guys want to go live, reach out to me, send me a message, and if you want to share your story, definitely we can make that happen. But I mean that's all I got, Jill. Thank you so much, for helping me. For helping me. Yeah, you do help me, for having me on today. I really appreciate it. It's good being on the bottom part of the screen. I'm usually on the top part of the screen. But
Yeah.
I don't know if there was questions or something or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, if you have a question, let us know. But you're going live today.
Yeah.
In 2 hours.
In 2 hours, yeah, with Donnie. He's one of the hosts for Not So Anonymous podcast.
Nice.
Yes, I'm really excited about it. I went live with Dylan. It was a while ago, but he got an amazing story to tell. I don't know if you know which guy is Dylan. I don't know if you know that. If you know who is Dylan or on the Not So Anonymous, because there's 4 of them. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I thought there were 4. Okay, I thought it was like 2 guys. I gotta look back at their stuff.
Yeah, there's Dylan, Donnie, Goomer, and Jordan. Jordan is the tallest one. But anyways, Dylan went live with me too. I got to get all these guys to come on, eventually, So I got the second one on, and they got a good YouTube page as well. Very insightful, very helpful. It's just really funny. These guys are funny, man. Like you can have fun sober. Like trust it. Just ask these guys. They're doing it. But was there anything else, Jill, or something? Or let's see.
I think we covered it all.
Oh, wait. Look, I just clicked on the question thing, and then so there's a bunch of questions there.
I don't have any.
Yeah, you click on your question mark. You see it? You see all the questions pop up. I learned this from Blair. Blair taught me that. She said, if you're going to go live, that the day of, do a poll with what questions you want, and then it'll pop up in your live. Yeah, she taught me that. I know, she's so smart. Because the first question is, how can someone start to find themselves during an addiction phase? Honestly, in an addiction phase, you lose yourself. You do not find yourself. You find yourself in the process of recovery, to be honest. Okay, spirituality versus religiousness. So I just kind of talked about that basically, spirituality and religion is man-made. Religion is man-made. Spirituality is more relational. This is very broad thing here. Spirituality, like I can give you guys my take on it. There's no this is what spirituality is, or that's what it is, or things like that. I kind of talk my faith. I replace that with my faith, basically. Okay, let's see. How have you overcome barriers with others that are, what's that word? I can't even pronounce that word. Can you see what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I popped it up. So how have you overcome barriers with people that are really anti-spirituality?
How have I?
Yeah, people that really they don't want to hear it because you talk about it. They don't want to even listen to what you have to say. Those kind of people.
Yeah, no, honestly, that's no problem. Because I don't shove recovery down anybody's throat at all, or spirituality or faith. I don't do that. That's very ineffective. This is how I think in regards. Let's say somebody doesn't want to hear it. like that's fine. Like I don't get offended or nothing. Like it's their life, it's not mine. But I am there to be of service and to help for sure. Um, but the thing I know is that this person may not want to hear about it now. So I don't want to spoil a later date. So their experiences will have to show them that, man, maybe I got to keep my mind open. Maybe I need to listen to what these people are saying. Maybe not. I don't know. Something like that, maybe.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said that you're not, like you mentioned your faith,
Hmm.
but you're not like bam, like in your
Yeah,
face, like you have to believe what I
yeah,
believe, and like
yeah,
you go on and on about it, like you really don't. You handle it perfectly.
yeah. What's this one? So what are, oh wait, okay, here, this is a good question. Can someone be agnostic and still recover? Ooh, okay. Let no one have a problem with the spirituality of this program. Um, this is my take. It's not written in any book. So agnostic, let's say, okay, somebody who doesn't believe in God, can they recover? This is the short answer. Yes, yes, yes. I believe so. I believe that can happen. For me personally, this is why I believe that like people can recover without quote unquote God, because things that people learn outside of having a relationship with God, that this is things that I have found and done research on, like different kind of programs that like smart recovery. There's no God in smart recovery. I don't know if that's very smart though, but anyways, it's smart recovery. But I respect it. I respect it how that program works. There's other different ways, therapy and the other different ways to kind of have to recover without God. But all these other different ways, this is what I have found with doing my research. Everything that you're learning here, in this without God, they are kingdom principles. They are so whether people know it or not, they are getting sober by what God says. Basically, that's what I found. But like, I'm not gonna go and like tell somebody that or something. Like, this is something I know for myself. You know. So yeah, I believe so because of these principles. Okay, what are differences between AA sponsorship versus recovery coaching? Okay, honestly, I'm not a recovery coach. I do know recovery coaches. A sponsor in any 12-step program, a sponsor is somebody with the knowledge of the 12 steps, or working knowledge of the 12 steps, and then they can walk you through it. As a sponsor, I'm not a guidance counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a marriage counselor. All I'm doing is walking you through these 12 steps and helping you and guiding you. Now, I know recovery coaches. I know them, and you have to be certified to be a recovery coach, and it can be very similar. See, because a sponsor, they don't teach you how to handle your finances. A recovery coach can do that, though. They don't teach you how to eat properly. A recovery coach can do that. So there's differences to it as well. Like I know a woman from the East Coast. She's on the East Coast too. She went live with me. She's a recovery coach, and people early on in newly sober, they want to go to different, like they still are invited to different like events like weddings and bar mitzvahs and stuff, and they're afraid to go by themselves. So they'll hire this lady to go with them so they can be accountable to her and stuff like that. So that falls under recovery coaching. I'm sure honestly there's many different facets to it, but from what I can remember off the top of my head, it's things like that. Because my sponsor never taught me how to have a successful marriage. I had to go learn that outside of my 12-step program, basically. So there's, sponsor, that's all like as a sponsor, all I am is I walk people through the 12 steps. That's it. I don't tell them, hey, bro, you should move your money to this account. You should, I don't do that. I don't do stuff like that, you know. Um, the next one is, what constitutes service when working in the recovery field? I kind of talked about that already a lot, basically. So if you're here and just logged on, or that was your question, you can go back to the beginning of this, and I basically answered that. This very lengthy answer. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you very much for coming on my second Saturday live. This is fun. I see why
Yeah.
you like it. So everybody on here, 2 hours from now, Pro Recovery Power is going live. So make sure to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
I really look forward to your live, and so does my husband.
Oh
He
yeah.
really likes them. Yeah, and someone who isn't even you know, struggles with drugs or
Yeah,
alcohol. He just likes to hear people's
yeah.
stories and
What?
like how they recovered.
What's his name again?
Drew.
Drew. Is he there right now?
He's actually about to walk in. He just got home from a fight.
Oh, okay. No worries. I just wanted to say hi. It's all good though.
I'll tell him. That.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, and then oh man, I just remembered because we were planning a live to go spouses and me and you and our spouses. I just thought about that. I forgot we
I
talked
was
about that.
thinking about that like 20 minutes ago.
I
Like
just
we
thought
have
about
to
it.
do that.
Yeah, we definitely got to do that for sure.
Yeah, I'll
You know,
message you later and we can talk about dates. I think that'd be really
yes,
fun.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, look, my wife is on there. She loves that idea. But hey, I appreciate you, Jill. Thank you so much, and I'll keep you in prayer about which direction you think you should go.
Thank you.
But regardless, what you're doing, the podcast, the your page, YouTube, all these things is very helpful. But I can see I can see that desire in you to physically be there and help somebody. And it's different. It's different. A desire and that passion for doing it. It's different from like career goals. It's
Yeah.
way different. It's not the same thing. So I get it. Ooh, I know. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I'll message you later about the other live.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, Joe, you have a great day. Thank you so much. Aloha.
All right. Have a good Saturday, everyone.
Bye.